Hey guys, this is Eckhart's Letter. Hello and welcome to another video. Today we'll be covering content from probably my second favorite Star Wars Legends book, Plagueis, which of course deals with the rise and fall of Darth Plagueis and his pupil Palpatine. Plagueis is excellent, and this video will have some minor spoilers for the book. I highly recommend you check it out, and furthermore, I recommend that you listen to it on audiobook. That's not only because you can get a free Audible audiobook with audibletrial.com/Eckhart'sLadder, but because the whole production is amazing. The narrator is phenomenal, there's Star Wars music, and it's really well put together. Anyway, before Plagueis meets young Palpatine, we learn about his relationship with his master, Darth Tenebrous, a relationship that ends with the Bith's death. Although the book there moves largely to covering Palpatine and Plagueis, we do learn a lot about the teachings of Tenebrous, and later how his philosophy differed from that of Plagueis and later Palpatine. And one thing we learn a lot about in Star Wars Legends is how different eras of Sith and how different individual Sith saw the best way to conquer the galaxy. For example, the Brotherhood of Darkness thought that they could defeat the Jedi by bringing Darksiders together as part of a common goal. Later, that was changed by Bane, who believed that the Sith should operate in shadows and that there should be no more than two at any given time. Plagueis believed that success would be found through a pairing of Sith with a master, Plagueis operating from the darkness, and a human apprentice, Sidious, being the face of the galaxy and its government, while also focusing, of course, on life extension. Now, Palpatine believed a lot of what Plagueis did, however, he thought ultimate power should rest in one person, himself. However, Plagueis' master, Tenebrous, had a far different idea of how the Sith would gain absolute power over the galaxy. One that would have been much more peaceful than Order 66 and the violent destruction of the Jedi Order. Here's a quote from Plagueis. Tenebrous believed that victory could be achieved through a mating of the powers of the dark side and expert Bith science. With the aid of sophisticated computers and future casting formulas, the varied beings of the galaxy could be provided for, and the Jedi Order would gradually dwindle and disappear. So essentially, Tenebrous, who, as the quote says, was a master of science, believed that algorithms and computers could basically predict and prepare for the future, and that the people of the galaxy could thus be cared for. They could, for example, allocate resources in medicine and prevent military action simply through computers which would prepare for the future and make calculations. This is interesting. Tenebrous was clearly a Darksider, but he didn't seek violence for the sake of violence. He was even willing to just let the Jedi Order essentially die off. There were other Sith which believed in the dark side, and which probably believed Sith rule would be the best for the galaxy, not only because they would have individual power, but because the dark side could provide the best life for the galaxy's populace. Tenebrous would pass on his dedication of science to his student Plagueis, as the two spent perhaps several centuries together. However, Plagueis and Tenebrous would ultimately have a major split on the purpose of the dark side, the grand plan of the Sith, and really just the nature of the Force itself. On one hand, as Plagueis says, Tenebrous trusted more in Bith science and computer projections than he had in Sith arts, while Plagueis understood that the Force probably had a mind of its own, that the dark side itself and dark side abilities had their own power beyond that of simple mathematics and computations, and this sort of disagreement even evolved to a greater philosophical impasse. As mentioned, Tenebrous believed that an advanced enough computer could essentially predict the future, while Plagueis was far less fatalistic and believed that events could not be fully anticipated, especially when the will of the Force was concerned. This would lead to Plagueis' murder of his master, which is generally expected in a rule of two relationship. And Plagueis would later find himself vindicated in the appearance of two individuals, the first being Palpatine, who himself defied any sort of anticipation or prediction. Palpatine was powerful simply because the dark side had an almost innate attachment to him, and especially after the two got together, he believed that the greatest way for them to find success was by continually getting more and more powerful through a study of mathematics, sorcery, science, and basically everything else available. He was also vindicated by the creation of Anakin Skywalker, who most likely was the Force's direct response to Plagueis and Palpatine's meddling into the Force in midi-chlorians. The Force also directly pushed back on Plagueis' experiments to cheat death. When attempting to create life, I quote, "The Force grew silent as if in flight from him, and many of the animals in his laboratory succumbed to horrifying diseases." And it would get so bad that Plagueis would fear that a great disaster was about to befall him. All in all, I think the philosophical divide between the two Sith is really interesting, and it helps show how different Darksiders can be. Also, as I alluded to earlier, Tenebrous was not the only, not non-violent, but less violent Sith. A good example was Darth Gravid, who attempted to bring compassion and love into the use of the dark side of the Force. Another example is Vectivus, who, although fully embracing the dark side, was always pretty much a good person, and was more or less happy to live alongside his family. But that's all I have for you guys today. I know it's a pretty short video, I've gotten home late. Let me know, who do you think had the better idea? Darth Plagueis, Darth Sidious, or Darth Tenebrous? Are you a fatalist? Do you believe that an advanced enough computer could predict the future and help prepare for it? Let me know all of that and more, as well as any video ideas or any future questions down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn notifications on. Till next time though guys, this has been Eckhart's Ladder. May the Force be with you.